stupid.
Wait,
Clearly not.
When did I get off for this one?
4,
Tuesday?
plus I think there was 1 on part 2, 3 in there. Okay, may I have everybody's attention, please? I appreciate that you are scanning over your tests, and that's a good thing, but we need to get focused and move forward. Everybody look up. Eye contact. Yasmin. Very good. As a whole, the tests were definitely better than the first test, which means that kids prepared better. If you are satisfied with your grade, you're done. If you're not satisfied with your grade, then you are more than welcome to do a relearn packet. I have them up here. I want the relearn packet done if you got under an 85, so it's really not optional. But if you got over an 85, it's totally optional. So if you want to get the relearn packet done and you got over an 85, just see me at the end of the period and I will give you a relearn packet, okay? Last time the grades went up so much, I am gonna give you the test back from last time tomorrow, okay? So grades went up a really good, solid, comfortable amount. And the thing to remember about relearn packets is this. If you get a very disappointing grade, you have a lot of work to do because you probably missed a lot of points in multiple sections. But if you got a high grade, you probably, like to me, if I got like an 80 to a 90, 91, maybe 92, I would think about doing the relearn packet hard. If I got above a 91 or a 92, I should say 85 to 91 or 92, I would definitely do the relearn packet because it's a minimal amount of work. There's not much to do. If I got above a 92, then I would have to think about it because I could do worse. And that grade would count, but it kind of depends how much you're motivated to get the 98, 99, 100. It's totally up to you. Okay, now, as far as the quiz goes, let's go through these 3 questions. We had major issues on number 1, which was like number 1 from the Do It. And I'm afraid we're a little bit behind today. So what I'm going to do is do the quiz questions, which cover numbers 1 and 2 from the Do It. And then if we have time at the end of the period, I'll come back and do the Do It questions over again. But I want to get into the lesson right after I'm done going over the quiz. I was surprised at the kind of questions that people got wrong on the Do It. I should say on the quiz. Or not the kinds of questions, but the way they got question number 1 wrong. Variety of different ways that number 1 was wrong. Let me kind of start by doing something slightly different as a comparison. So I want everybody very quickly to at least go over in their mind how they would do this. I have no idea what it works out to. I'm reasonably sure it's not a whole number. If it is, it's pure luck. But just at least in your mind, what are the steps you would take to get that question right? Okay, who wants to tell me the first thing they would do? Maybe? Distribute, good. So we would get 3x plus 12 minus 2x equals 5 minus x. And here's where, to me, a lot of people went wrong, the very next step. What would you do next? Yeah, combine like terms, same side, same idea. 3x minus 2x is x plus 12 equals 5 minus x. So notice here, I put those together. Oh, I'm sorry, that should be 5x. No, it is minus x, right? That's right, so x is good. And then what would we do next? Kirsten? That's right, so I would add x to both sides. And I would get 2x plus 12 equals 5. And then I would minus 12 and minus 12. And I get 2x equals negative 7, and then I would divide. And I would get x equals negative 3.5 or negative 3.5. So what does that have to do with your quiz question? Now, first off, did anybody in any way, shape, or form feel intimidated by doing any of that? Or did you look at a question like that and say, I'm pretty comfortable with that? How many people feel comfortable with that? I would hope you all do. I really would. Now, my point to you is that I took the same exact question and put things in the same exact places. The only difference is that this time there's fractions. but it's a number, parentheses, a number equals a number and x's. It's the same exact question with, of course, now we have fractions. So if I distribute, I get 3/5 x plus 12/5 plus x over 2 equals 3 minus 2/3 x. Now notice, back here, how many people said they would add x? Back in this step. We have one person who wanted to do that, 2. Okay, yet on the papers here, almost everybody added 2/3 x. It's not that that's wrong. It's possible that it's right. But clearly here and here, there are x's that are on the same side. Same side? Same operation. So you should combine them. So now, if we didn't have a calculator, I could say, you know, gee, that's kind of a complicated step, but we have a calculator. And remember, you must use the parentheses keys. So you should type parenthesis 3 divided by 5 parenthesis plus, there's really a 1 in front here, parenthesis 1 divided by 2 parenthesis. Now, I'll do that quickly off the top of my head. The common denominator is 10, so this is going to be 6 and 5. That's 11x over 10 plus 12/5 is equal to 3 minus 2/3 x. And the next step is to add 2/3 x to both sides. And when I do that, it's going to be 30, so that's 22, and let's see here, 33, and then this has got to be multiplied by 10. 33 and 20 makes 53 over 10, 30, I'm sorry, x. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, 53 over 30x plus 12/5 equals 3. Again, you could do that on your calculator. It's not a problem to do on your calculator. You just parenthesis, number divided by number, parenthesis. It will do all the addition for you. Now, we subtract 12/5 from both sides. And I get 53 over 30x, equals. If I go to fifths here, I get 15/5 minus 12/5, which is 3/5. Then I have to divide by 53 over 30. And dividing by 53 over 30 is the same thing as doing this, so this allows me to do it in my head. And I get 18/53. Okay? So whatever mistake you made in here, the biggest one I saw personally looking at your work is I felt that while it's not absolutely necessary, I would like to see you combine like terms right there. Add them up, same side, same operation. Then you can go to the minus 2/3, 2 plus 2/3. Yes?
Why do you add the 2/3?
Because this says minus 2/3.
Oh.
Okay?
That's
All right. So that to me, I don't think anybody got that question right. All right? So realize it's just like the other questions, and we have to get to the point where any fraction question on the calculator is kind of an automatic for us, that it's easy to do. All right. Can somebody please read the next question out loud? Sam, read the question. Not on the test, on the quiz. The quiz is under your test. There you go. Number 2.
The area of the integral can be represented by 3n squared,
Blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, keep going.
and the area of the square inside the parallel hand.
Blah, blah, blah. Good.
And the
Stop! Say that word nice and loud.
difference.
Difference. What operation is difference? Subtract. Some of you multiplied. Difference means to subtract. So I get, I gotta get my glasses on is what I get. 3n squared minus 5n plus 8 minus this. Now, the other day I spoke, and listen, all I can do is give you tendencies. I cannot say exactly what happened, what is best for each of the 22 kids in here right now. Now, if all of you came for like some private extra help, and I watched exactly how Christina went wrong, and Julia went wrong, everybody in the room from Isabella to Allie went wrong, I could say, this is what you need to do. But I don't know. What I can tell you is what I've seen over 31 years, where kids tend to go wrong with this question. Kids tend to go wrong if they do this. 3n squared minus 1n squared. Negative 5n minus 4n. 8 this. The best way to do this question for the highest likelihood of success is to distribute this negative sign first. So I should see a step on your paper that looks like this. We didn't touch anything in front of the subtract or negate sign. Minus n squared minus 4n minus 4. Take a look on your paper right now and see if you can find that step. If you can't, write yourself a little note that says, write out this line and then change all the signs. Because to me, that's the number one area where I see kids make mistakes when I grade papers. Now, combine like terms, 3n squared and negative n.
All right?
Looks good, thank you. 2n squared, negative 5n and negative 4n makes negative 9n. 8 and negative 4 makes 4. There's my answer. Did you say grade or weight?
Wait,
I am.
you checked it, but I got the wrong answer.
I grade them very fast. Sometimes I make mistakes. If you benefited, then take advantage of it. Okay, and the last part says use an area diagram. And we did very well on this question. By and large, kids got this question correct. Sometimes a little glitch here or there, but for the most part, they were good. A couple of kids messed up exponents. So let's go through this step by step. 5x squared plus 9x minus 3, 3x minus 7. I mentioned to you guys the other day that the most important thing that you can do, again, I see tendencies. I've done this kind of question for so many years. The biggest mistake that kids can make in this is they don't put the signs in. That's the number one mistake. The number two mistake is sometimes they mess up the exponents. 3x times 5x squared is 15x cubed. 3x times plus 9x is plus 27x. I really want to see the positive and negative signs in your paper, because if you don't see them, eventually it's going to come back and bite you. 3x times negative 3 is minus 9x. Negative 7 times 5x squared, and by the way, that was a reaction to your yawn about a moment ago. Negative 7 times 5x squared is negative 35x squared. Negative 7 times 9x is minus 63x. And negative 7 times negative 3 is plus 21. Now, Miss Milano. By the way, I just thought about this. You have the greatest name, because I love Milano cookies. Now, at one point, I just want you to, everybody witness this. At one point, Mary's paper went something like this. For a peanut, there are no mutant peanuts. Can we be clear about that? All peanuts look like peanuts. They may have 3 lumps in their peanut, but they're a peanut, yes.
How come you added those exponents but not for...
When I multiply, listen, when you multiply, you add exponents. Whenever you add or subtract anything on the face of the earth, they always stay the same kind of thing. So if I add shirts to shirts, I get shirts. I don't get shirts squared. So when I do a peanut here, and then I'm going to do a peanut here, everything inside that peanut is like, Mary, everything inside that peanut is like being in a bucket, and it stays the same kind of thing. So I have 15x cubed. Now, if I have 27 x's and negative 30, did I make a mistake?
27x.
Oh, 27x squared, sorry. If I add that up, I'm going to get negative 8x squared. All right, look, I have positive 27 of them and negative 35 of them. Altogether, when I add it up, I get negative 8 of those things, which are x squareds. Here, I get negative 72x and then plus 21 at the end. Okay, so in the peanut, it's like putting them in a bucket. It stays the same kind of thing. We don't change exponents. You only change exponents when you multiply. The good example is this. What is 2x squared plus 3x squared? And the whole class said? 2x squared plus 3x squared. What is it? 5x squared, right? Now, what is 2x squared times 3x squared? No, 6x to the 4th. Because when you multiply, You multiply coefficients and do what to the exponents? Add. Okay, so those were the kinds of mistakes that were made on your quiz. And now it's time to take a look at today's lesson. Study up on those quiz mistakes. I think we'll do a whole lot better tomorrow. There were no hundreds on this, but I do owe some cookies to people who got 90s or 100 on the test. There were probably, how many people got a 90 or 100? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many people got 85 to 90? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So about half the class was 85 or higher, to give you an idea of where you stand, okay? Are you thankful for relearn packets? Yes, very good. And you know what the really cool thing about relearn packets? My experience is that kids who have to do them generally only do them until about the middle of the year. At that point in time, they straighten out any lingering mistakes. Like, kids might make a mistake just like you just mentioned. You know, the one with 3x squared plus 2x squared being 5x to the fourth? They might make that mistake early in the year. By the end of the year, they don't make that mistake anymore. Yes?
Then will that dot shut up again?
Yes, as soon as I X, it'll be gone. All right, so listen, let's take it through and talk about literal equations. That's what today's lesson is all about. We actually did some of this work already, so it's not going to be revolutionary new. How do you find the perimeter of a rectangle? What's the formula? There's more than one, but let's use this one. P for perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So if we thought of this as a formula, the way we do the formula is this. We would say, hey, I want to find the perimeter. And if I want to find the perimeter, I'm going to input the length. And I'm going to input the width, and bam, out pops the formula. So if I put in a length of 3 and a length of 5, I'm sorry, and a width of 3, what does it work out to be? Help. How much? 16. We all agree, right? I plug in a 5 here for L, and that's 2 times 5 is 10, and 2 times 3 is 6, and I add them up and I get 16. But now using the same formula, what's going to be the length if the width, I'm sorry, if the length is 17 and the perimeter is 14? Now, one way to do that would be to start plugging these things in. It says here the perimeter is 40, so I can do 40 equals 2 times the length, which is 17, plus 2 times the width. Now, what is 2 times 17? Come on, hitting the game. 34. I know it's a Monday, but we'll go with this. 34 plus 2W, and then I could subtract 34, and I could say 6 is 2W, and I could divide by 2, and fitting it in, I get W is 3. Okay, we good? Okay, but the thing of it is, if I was working with a computer, and you've all heard about writing code and so on and so forth, a computer would never solve it this way. And the truth is that if I had to do this more than once, like if I only had to do it once, doing it this way is fine. But if I had to do this a lot, doing it this way is not a very effective way to do it. The most effective way to do it is to rearrange all the terms so that we solve for W. Now, we know the formula is P is 2L plus 2W. And if I want to solve for the width, I could just do it with the variables. Look, I could subtract 2L, and that gives me P minus 2L equals 2W. And then, since the W is being multiplied by 2, I need to do the opposite and divide by 2. So this gives me this new formula that says the width is the perimeter minus 2 times the length divided by 2. Now let's just show you that this formula works. We said the perimeter was 40, and we said the length was 17. So the perimeter is 40 minus 2 times 17 divided by 2. So the width is 2 times 17 is 34. 40 minus 34 is 6. 6 over 2 is 3. So when I solve for the variable, it's a quick way of finding or creating a sister formula, if you will, that allows me to find whatever it is I'm looking to find. So sometimes it pays to be able to transform formulas. And that's what literal equations do. They allow us to transform formulas. So here's a classic formula on the board in front of us. volume is length times width times height. Now, right here, volume is length times width times height. How many people have heard that formula before? Okay, and usually the way we ask you a question about this is we say, listen, there is a rectangular prism. And in this rectangular prism, the length is 15, the width is 8, the height is 4. Find the volume. But what if I decided to mess with you a little bit? What if I said, the volume's 120, the length is 10, the width is 3. Find the height. Now, to do that, we need to solve for h. Take a look here. What's happening to the h? There are two things, kind of as one thing, happening to h at the same time. Go ahead. Being multiplied by what specifically? L and W. So the opposite is to divide. So I just divide by L and W. And I get the height is the volume divided by the length times the width. Okay, so all I did was rearrange the formula. When I solve for h, I rewrite the formula to say h equals. If this said solve for w, I would divide by L and h. Okay? So you try the next one now. Solve y equals mx plus b for x. Okay, so this problem says solve for x, which means I want to get x by itself. First thing I do is subtract b, and I get y minus b equals mx. Is x by itself yet? No. So what do I have to do to get x by itself? Divide by m. And I get y minus b equals mx. Questions? All right, let's try the next one, because the next one's an important one. Everything up until now we've kind of done already, but this one we have not. E equals 1/2 mv squared. Solve for m. What would I do first? What do you think the first step here is? Come on, what do we do first? Divide by what, a half? You could, and dividing by a half is the same thing as multiplying by 2. So I'm going to put times 2. All right, tomorrow we have to cover the case of the square root. Square root is very, very, very important. Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, tulu, tata, arrivederci. Smile a lot, ciao, Wiedersehen. Adios amigos y amigas.